Wow. Thank you very much, Ma'am Neri. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I feel very humbled. Made my day already because I just heard so many nice things told about me that I would not even think of. And I mean, I have so much respect for you. So thank you so much for that. So yes, so good morning, everybody. Or sorry, it's morning in Germany. It's only 7:30. But of course, good afternoon in the Philippines. And indeed, it's when we talk about upskilling and reskilling, how it is possible for me in Germany to be able to talk to all my colleagues in the YWCA or to all the people in the Philippines for this seminar is part of this. Okay, like it goes beyond time and space. So I don't even have to go to the Philippines now just to be able to be there with you. We can all be together now because of how we've upskilled and reskilled ourselves and how the world has evolved through digitalization. Okay, so good morning, everyone. I think I'm the only speaker today, and I'm privileged to have that because I think I have so many things to share with you. As they've said, I've been a trainer before in the YWCA, but since I was in Germany, I became more focused on really working and also focused on my family. So I did not do a lot of trainings. And again, during this pandemic, YWCA is again here to help me launch my career or again help me to be very much involved. So last time I did this thing with mom becoming teacher mom, and now this is my second time to again be part of the Y Talk series. So thank you very much. It's a privilege. I hope this webinar or this talk would be very interactive. So I'm just going to be talking for not so long. I hope not. But this time I have a more like a structured presentation just so I don't talk too much. So that I'm guided, and also so that you can easily follow my thoughts, and also you can easily ask questions also. So please, let's make it this interactive. Please don't be shy. This is a very safe space to learn and also ask questions. So let's do it. Okay, so I hope that you can see my screen now. Yes, thank you. All right, so I've been tasked to talk about upskilling and reskilling of women. So what is this all about? Of course, I've Francine already mentioned some the list of participants, and there's so many of you coming from the academic institutions, also from the government institutions, and also a lot of volunteers. And I'm sure that this is not your first time to hear about upskilling or reskilling. So what is this all about? So maybe this time we're going to just talk about in a more structured way and just really give a bit of definition and clarity to what this is about. Okay. All right. So when we talk about upskilling and reskilling of women, okay, so this is something that we do for everybody, for all human, and even for pets, for our dogs. We also upskill them and reskill them. But for the purpose of our discussion now, and of course for the purpose of the YWCA, we're going to focus on upskilling and reskilling women. And when we say women, we mean all women. Okay, so we include single mothers or married women, single women, senior citizens, so housewives, corporate women, working from home moms, community volunteers, unemployed women, young women and girls. I mean, more. Okay, I just kind of throw out the most labels, the popular labels that the women use, okay, or mothers, okay. If you don't see anything that you can identify with, no worries. I just put some examples there just to be clear that we mean all women. So this is not just because the notion is that okay, upskilling and reskilling, this is just for people who are employed. This is just for women who are working, because this upskilling and reskilling is actually an official term used in the HR industry, in the human resources management industry. So if you're not working, you're probably not, you would probably feel that you're not included in this. But no, I mean, upskilling and reskilling is something that you also do in your personal life. So not just in your professional life, this is also in your personal life, in our personal lives as women. And during introduction of the YWCA, they say women are change leaders, and all these types of women are change leaders. So we are able to make changes, and to do that, we need to upskill and reskill ourselves. Okay. Now, before I go to discussing what is upskilling and reskilling, let me just maybe throw this to everybody. Because when we think about upskilling and reskilling, again, the natural thing of that we think about is work. Okay, and then we always the popular or the stereotype maybe is that, okay, when you work, you are successful, and then when you are working, what type of work you do determines your success and everything like this. So there are so many things. Of course, we live in a society. We hear a lot of people, give their comments to us and give everything, whether solicited or unsolicited. Also, we are in our family where they have a lot of expectations. So they have expectations for us. Our parents would like us to be successful. Okay, I think no parent would say, "Oh, I want my kids to fail." Of course, nobody would say that. But I think the most important thing is that, regardless of all these factors that you are in or that you have in your life, family, your personal expectation, or your school expectation of you because, you graduated valedictorian in high school, or, all these different factors. I just want you to know that success is something that you define for yourself. Okay. So it's important that you believe this, I think, because this concept is not just something that I thought about. I've been reading a lot of. I will show later my background, and we've done a lot of human resource management researches as well in the workforce and also outside the workforce. And I just realized, and also from all the books that I've been reading, I just realized that really this is true. Success is really something that we define for ourselves. So even if your parents say, especially in the Philippines, you were so much into I think when I was growing up there, they told us you will only be successful if you become a doctor or an engineer or a nurse, or all this. They already have a very narrow list of successful careers, and for example, maybe being like somebody working in the parlor, or somebody like cleaning, something like this. We don't consider that as successful. We always say, oh, that's hindi kasi nag-aral, or there are many factors that we throw there. But again, you have to define this for yourself. Of course, what maybe you think as a success, what you consider as success now, can also change in the future, in the next year. It depends on your circumstances. It depends on your situation. But this is something that you really have to decide for yourself, because if you always listen to what people would say, then you become directionless. And of course, knowing this for yourself comes from the basic idea that you know yourself also. You know what you can do, you know what you are capable of doing, and you know who you are. And of course, the basic thing is that we know that we are all children of God, and God made us all unique. Okay? So our faith-based concept about success also plays here. So yes, we are all unique, so we all have different unique success. Okay? So we don't try to compare ourselves, because indeed the only success comparison that we should do is with ourselves. And how was I 5 years ago, and how am I now? And if I think about that, I'm like, okay, then I have a benchmark. Okay, I have a basis why I feel more successful now. Okay. And I just wanted to also share this very useful thing that I always remind myself. It says, I got it from this book, The Happiness Advantage. So this was like a book coming out of our research from Harvard University. And it says, we become more successful when we are happier and more positive. So it did not say that we're going to be more successful if we're going to do jobs that are high paying. We will be successful, become doctors. No, it did not say that. It just said we become more successful when we are happier and more positive. So this is regardless of what you do, regardless whether you're a corporate woman, regardless where you're in doing schoolwork or doing government jobs, or a housewife, or you are married or single. So regardless of what you do, you can be successful. But make sure that you are happy in what you're doing. Okay. And again, this is based on researches in psychology and science, not just something that you get from Facebook and it sounds good. So okay, we believe it. No, of course, it's based on research. It's most likely a fact already, because there's so many instances where they've proven it. All right. So I just want to throw this one, because now the next part that I would show is a glimpse of my career life, or the milestones of my professional life and also my personal life, where I can prove to you that I've upskilled and reskilled. Because I think what better way for me to convince you of my credibility to speak about this topic is the fact that I did it myself. I cannot talk about so many good things about upskilling and reskilling when I didn't even do anything for myself, when I didn't even upskill myself or reskill myself. Okay. So the next slide that I would show you is all about how I did that in my professional life and also in my personal life. A glimpse of my personal life because there's more things there that happened, but I will highlight the time when, or the aspects where I really had a lot of upskilling and reskilling experiences. So again, what you will see is something that I defined for myself as success. Okay, so please don't compare it with what you are now. But of course, indeed, there's something that's called role modeling or benchmarking. Okay, so of course, when we role model somebody, we feel inspired, but that doesn't mean that we're going to follow exactly what they did. Because again, we all have different lives. There are so many factors in our lives that's different from that person. So it's not like we can carbon copy exactly what happened or what they did. And of course, again, we're all unique. So it could be that, okay, oh, I like what she did, but how will I do it? Or maybe I'll ask her step by step what she did. So no. So okay, we can be inspired by people. There's so many inspiring women all over the world. I mean, you just Google in there. And again, even in the YWCA and in any institution you are in, you will see some very, very inspiring women that you can use as role models already. So this is my career milestones. So yeah, it's really like milestones because it's like I step by step leading to one. And again, I've color coded it just so you know when did I reskill myself and when did I do upskilling and when was it something totally difficult and something like this. So let me just go through it little by little. And again, this is not to brag, okay? This is just really to show how I did it for myself, how I embrace this notion or this concept of upskilling and reskilling. All right. So as Ma'am Neri mentioned already, I finished BS Medical Technology, and I put and I passed the board exam because the board exam is very difficult, and it took us 6 months to prepare for it. So, and indeed, I mean, there are things. If this is also a milestone, if you don't pass the board exam, you cannot anyway work in the Philippines as a medical technologist. So this is still in the Philippines, the first two levels. Okay. So I finished a very, very scientific course. So my brain was really wired to think diagnostic, like very, very specific, everything measurable, everything is, physical science and clinical science and all those little stuff there. I think we have participants from university, medical schools, and also from the hospitals, and you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have a very, very strict training on really, scientific evidences and things like this. So then I finished that, and then I became, of course, expectedly I should be working as a medical technologist, and I did. And immediately I applied, and I was hired in a rural hospital in Milagros, Masbate. That was the first job that I applied to, and they took me. And then it's like I'm going to travel and relocate really to that place from Baguio City to Visayas or Masbate. I mean, this is really a big change for me. But I was young. I was only 21 when I passed the board exam. So I thought, traveling is like, wow, I'm excited. I like to travel because that's one thing that I like doing also. I will say when I was young, when started there at 14, when I was 14. So just to say that when I was doing when I was a med tech or in the hospital, I was doing laboratory diagnosis and laboratory diagnosis. Okay. And then when I moved to another hospital, they then asked me to do staff management. So meaning I became the head of all the medical technologies in this hospital in Alabang, Manila, Metro Manila. Then after that, and during the time, I think this was 9/11 already that happened. I was planning to go to Saudi Arabia to work there as medtech because I thought, oh, okay, everyone is going outside of the country, and we will be able to save more money if I go abroad or work overseas. But then, this 9/11 happened, and I thought it's not so safe yet. And then somebody, like there was a medical representative in that hospital, offered me to work. So they kind of poached me out of that hospital to work as a medical representative for medtech devices. So, in the laboratory, we have all these machines, and they have med reps who are also medical technologists, and they have to talk about the machine. It's a journalism to sell these machines. No, it has to be medical technologist because we know how to use it. And of course, we know the needs of the clients or the hospitals. So then I reskilled. I reskilled myself to be a medical representative because I don't even know how to sell before. And now I have to, I know how to use the equipments, but I don't know how to sell. So I reskilled myself to do sales. So now I'm not doing any laboratory diagnosis, no staff management, nothing. So totally sales. And this is different because you have to learn what to say, also how to talk, and all these things. It's more like people interaction. And then when I was there, they saw that I can speak to more people, not just one, hospital or one doctor. They saw in one event that I can talk to maybe 200 people at one time. And then they thought, oh, why don't we use her as the corporate sales specialist to promote? Why? So my boss said, let's promote her as the corporate sales specialist for the whole pharmaceutical company. So the whole company does not only have machines for hospitals or medtechs, but also for, it's like, all this omega painkiller and physicals and oil, all this type of products that they have. So Bioderm, casino alcohol. So they made me as the corporate sales specialist. So I go to like events for drugstores and like 2,000 people events to speak about it, like conferences and things like this. So now I upskilled. I'm not doing sales anymore, but it's sales and marketing are related. So they upskilled me to do marketing, so which is good. And then when I was there, I got poached again by another company. Now it's an American company in Makati. So they thought, well, it's more like upskill and reskilling actually, because corporate sales specialists, when you do marketing, you also do business development. So then I was poached by another company to do business development. So now I'm not going, so it's a recruitment. So they have, for example, if all this Pfizer, they need clinical trial doctors or clinical trial specialists. So they have a vaccine, for example, and they need, doctors or all this medical clinical staff to work on it. And because I know I'm from that background, I have this medical and the clinical background, they thought, maybe it's good to put me there so that I can recruit these people to work on this project. So of course, we all know the medical terminologies. So that's the only thing that I got or that I brought from my medical background, medical technology background. And at the same time, so this is more like reskilling and upskilling because I did not do recruitment before. So I was reskilled in recruitment and then I'm skilled in business development. So while doing that, I was then again poached back by IPI Pharmaceutical. They said there was a new position open. So they said, we need an export manager. So now the second line of my career is management, because I think at age 26, I became a manager. And I think I was a very young manager at the time. And I don't know even if I was ready. But this is the thing. When they see something in you, there is an opportunity. So they made me the export manager. So again, I was just reskilling myself in terms of sales and marketing because I have that already. But now I have to do export. It's a different market out there. So just reskill myself or upskill myself on that. And then when I was doing that, I think this time I was maybe 28 years old. I was feeling lonely. And my family is in Baguio and I was in Cebu as export manager. Cebu City. I didn't have a boyfriend back then. And, I was always traveling because I was an export manager. I became lonely. So I thought, I want to be with my family. I want to go to Baguio and work in Baguio. And there was an opportunity with SM Supermalls because SM Baguio was new. And then they needed some leasing manager. So they poached me from IPI. And then I went there as a leasing manager. Now, I don't know if you see the shade, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit brighter because it's also upskilling because it's again management and sales, but it's also a bit of reskilling because now I have to do property management. So real estate, now not anymore like all these pharmaceuticals where I have background. Now it's totally the mall. We have to rent out all these spaces in the mall. So it's again both, but it's more of upskilling because it's still management and sales. And then, like what Ma'am Neri mentioned, I became like an elite tour guide from Mabuhay Guide. So So the Department of Tourism launched this program of having, I think 10. There were 10 of us chosen all over the Philippines from different sectors. So it took me from the medical sector, let's say it like that. So all the dignitaries or diplomats coming from all over the world, especially the US, like their health ministers like this. So they would always contact me. They trained me to do that. And then they would, tell me to introduce the Philippines to them. So it's more like heritage marketing. So they trained us for they re-skilled me again for 2 months to think about history and everything about the Philippines once again. And then they brought us to all the places in the Philippines, Bohol, Boracay, Intramuros, all these places, so we learn how to market this to these dignitaries, and in the perspective of heritage or historical thing for the Philippines. And this is where I had my diplomatic training with the Department of Foreign Affairs. So again, it's totally different. It's a full reskilling, this one. So the one in green, these are full reskilling because it's like totally new. And my dad, I remember my dad asking me, what are you going to do there? He could not see what's the relation of what I'm doing to now what I will be doing in the Department of Tourism. So again, you define your own success. And for me, I see my path. My father cannot see it. And he was thinking, if I leave SM, this is like, wow, this is a bad decision. Because for them in Baguio, of course, SM Supermall is like the biggest employer there. And they pay very well. I think I was already earning 50,000 monthly just for doing that work, which was easy. And then, he was like, well, why would you go to DOT? Less pay and things like this. But for me, my success definition is like, I want more experience. I want to have a dynamic working culture. So something like that. So again, this is my definition of success. So I went for it. I don't care what people say. Let's say like that. I respect my parents, but again, I'm the one who's going to work. So this is my definition. I'll do it. I will decide and I'll take responsibility for my decision. Now, while doing this elite tour guiding via DOT, it's not a permanent thing because you're paid well. I think I was paid like 4,000 pesos for doing just 1 day tours with these people. But again, it's not like every day you have something to do. Okay. So then I did my own rental business in Baguio. So I became a property manager because I learned from SM how to do the leasing. So I thought, I can also do this my own. So I opened like my own transient houses and things like this. And now it's still there. I already transferred this to my sisters and it's still going on, this business. So those red that I put there, these are the most difficult thing to do. So property manager is when you do your own business, you have to do really a lot of upskilling and reskilling. And this is the most challenging thing that you have to do because you have to also use your own money, okay? Or you get a loan from the bank and things like this. So there's a lot. If you're an employee, you just wait until you're paid. So it's not like you just think of how to do. But when you're of your own business, you have a different skill set, and which is really, you have to be sure you can do this. All right. So this is what I've done in the Philippines in terms of my career. And I hope I didn't bore you with that. And then, of course, like Mom Neri said, I married a German national. So I had to relocate to Germany. So now my new normal is Germany. In Germany, they don't speak English. They speak English, but the work, they speak German. German is a national language here. So then I have to reskill myself totally. I started from kindergarten. It's like, when we learn English from kindergarten, I did that. I was here at age 31, I think. I have to go back to kind of kindergarten just to learn German. And for me, it's more like, I didn't realize that it's difficult. I thought, when I come here, life would be easier, but it's not, because in terms of my professional experience, it would be a lot of adjustment. So then my new normal is like, I have to speak German. So then I reskilled myself to learn German for 1 year, up to the level that I can work. But then, there are courses like, learn English or learn German in like 1 month or 6 months and things like this. And then you think you become so fluent. But even if you use it every day, it's like, well, it's different. We Filipinos, we learned English since we were in nursery or kindergarten. And I think maybe at that age, I still don't feel like I was so fluent with English. So what more with German? So I was getting a bit depressed. I was like, oh, what is this? I don't like my new normal because I cannot work. But okay. I said, oh, okay, I came for love to Germany, so it's okay. I don't work like this and that. But then, of course, I mean, if you're used to working, because I mean, maybe I came to Germany in December and I just resigned from my work in DOT also in December. So that means like I'm still used to working. So my body is like, in this withdrawal phase. I'm wanting to do something. I cleaned the whole house. I did so many things at home to keep me busy, but I'm not feeling happy or satisfied. I feel like I have to work. And I didn't have kids then yet. After 2 years we had kids, but I had my miscarriage. So I was thinking, I have nobody to take care of, and my husband always goes to work every day, of course. So I felt alone. I felt like I felt bored and things like this. So I thought, maybe it's time to look for work. And then I started, of course. But when you look in job vacancies, there's like, you have to have this level of German and la la la. And then of course also I think some people, they also say, I mean, Filipinos, I had some Filipino friends and also German friends also from the family of my husband. You get all this discouraging comments. It was like, oh, you would never be able to work unless you become, C1 level. So meaning like you're an expert level in German, or something like this, because it's like your qualification in the Philippines, you can only do that if you can also use the German language in that level. And of course, I mean, let's say, what work can I do at my level? The time they say, oh, you can clean. So I mean, I'm not saying that cleaning service or cleaning work is bad or low, or no judgment for that. But I'm just saying that I'm not trained to be a cleaner, and I did not see myself cleaning. That's not how I define success for myself. So I thought, so all the Filipinos that I've met, they said like, "Hey, join us, clean. Let's go clean and clean and clean," and something like this. And I didn't really feel comfortable with that suggestion. So I thought, oh, and then my husband also said like, "Oh, don't go for it if you're comfortable, because I also promise your dad, I will not let you do anything here that is not something that you are comfortable with." And I mean, there was also no need to work for me because my husband is providing very well. But of course, I wanted to. This is something that I want for myself. So again, this is how my definition of success for myself, that I want to also use what I've had in the past, for work. So then there was this. I thought, I reflected on myself. What do I enjoy doing? So maybe it's time. I mean, a new environment. It's a new normal for me. What can I do? So then I reflected myself and I thought, you know what? I love to do events. So why not look for events job that, only needs English? And I found one. I applied, and then when I went there, they said, oh, it's already taken, but there's a position here that you might like. And that is an office assistant in a central bank. So this is the European Central Bank. And I didn't know about this bank because I'm not in this banking industry, I don't know. I'm new in this place. So then I got it. And this, I think I remember, it's an office assistant for a team that will work on operational risk and business continuity management for the bank. So just think like everything that we are now doing, the COVID situation, we already prepared 6 years ago. So this is what the team does. I don't know about what they do, of course, in the beginning. So when they interviewed me, I prepared for it and I Googled, what does it mean by operational risk and business continuity? I Googled, I look in Wikipedia, and then I memorized so that for the interview I'll be prepared. And then during the interview, this is very funny, because during the interview, when I was talking about it, I forgot. I mean, I totally forgot what I memorized. But again, you know yourself. You just be honest. And then I told them, so they asked like, so what do you know about la la la? And I said like, operational risk is. Then I stopped because I totally forgot it, because indeed I just memorized it and I didn't understand it. And then in the middle I said like, oh, I'm sorry, but I actually just Googled something and memorized, but I don't really understand it. So la la la. And I think that, and when I was hired already, they said that that was actually the thing that let them decide to take me, because they realized I'm very honest, and I can immediately adapt. So which is all about what the team does. So anyway, I put there blue because blue is all about a new start, a new start in a totally new normal, because I felt like I was a kindergarten when I started working in Germany. So now if you see, what's that? Before you're in the Philippines, manager ka na, tapos biglang naging assistant ka na lang. So na-demote ka. Again, you define your own success, okay? I don't care what you think. I was paid so high for this office assistant lang position. So I thought, and this is central bank. This is a civil servant. When you work there, I mean, you are secure for life, I think. But during that time, I was still a Filipino, so I was not entirely a civil servant then. Anyway, after that, because I mean, I was not German yet, I was still Filipino. I can only be given up to 2 years of contract. So after 2 years, I have to leave, and then I had my second pregnancy. So during my second pregnancy, I thought, okay. And then I was planning, of course, to go back there. But then when I went back, of course, HR changes, requirements change, a lot of this digitalization. And again, so they said, so now the HR, they require that that everyone should have an educational background of business or finance or economics, and which I didn't have. I only have medical technology, and it's totally irrelevant from central banking. So what I did, I reskilled myself again. So I did a course on I took a course advanced diploma in business administration from the UK. So I studied this for 1 year online. So I had my baby then, and I was breastfeeding. I'm doing online and everything. So I did this for 1 year. This course in business administration, and while doing that, I thought, let me do events management because it's something that I want to do. So I put up my own business. And again, I put it red because this is totally a different skill set. It's all upskilling, reskilling, everything. So it's very difficult. So this red thing, own business, you have to think about very well if you really want to do this. So anyway, while I was studying, I thought maybe there is also a different place where I can work as an assistant. And if you know NASA, we also have NASA in the Philippines or in Germany, and it's called the European Space Agency and OIMETSAT. And I thought, and they were looking for assistants that have scientific backgrounds. And of course, because I was from the medical field, they took me, but to do HR. So, I mean, you cannot imagine how many people wants to be astronaut. Maybe we get like 9,000 applications. So I was thinking like, wow, I have to assist in recruiting all these astronauts going up to the space. And I didn't know that there are so many people who wants to relocate to the space, So it was a very interesting thing again. It's more like upskilling. No, yeah, it is upskilling because it's a totally different sector. But again, it's assistant work, and now it's recruitment. But I did recruitment in the Philippines before, so I just kind of upskilled on that. Okay. Then I went back to the central bank because it's nearer to my place and things like this. So other factors, personal factors. And then there are more positions open, like promotions and things like this. So then I became a management assistant in a policy support. And this time I had my German nationality, so I became a civil servant. And then now currently what I do is like I'm the office administrator of one department. So now I'm part of the management team. So I'm more like the office manager. I don't do technical things like really doing policy drafting. I mean, I do that after they draft and I check and everything like this. So in my current position, I'm promoted from being an assistant. So now I'm an administrator, and I still couldn't believe how I got here. And again, this is all about because I was ready to upskill myself and reskill myself and adapt to the situation, and not just believing in my own abilities, but also with my faith in God. One thing that I do is like I pray a lot. I think in my first job as an office assistant here in the central bank, I prayed every day. I prayed every day because I don't know what I have to do. And maybe I was asking my husband because he's in management team. So I was asking, what do you expect your assistants to be here in Germany? And he would be like, la la la, give me tips. But I cannot bring him to the bank, to help me. But I can always bring Jesus with me. I can always pray when I don't know what to do, and he gives me some direction. So that's the story of my career milestone. Sorry, it's been long already. I'll make sure to go quicker now. Now, also, again, I said personal life. Now, as a woman, what have I done reskilling and upskilling myself? I became a parent. I became a married woman. So I've done other reskilling in terms of my personal life. All these things, taxation, waste management. We have a different way of doing waste management or recycling here in Germany. Now in the COVID, we have to do homeschooling. And then I also did parenting. I need to upskill myself as a parent. I realized that if you become a parent, you're not entitled. I mean, it's not necessarily that you know how to be a parent immediately. It's not really kind of instinctive all. So how about, I also upskill myself in all these different areas. Okay. So there. Now, based on my sharing, my long sharing, sorry about that. We'll make sure you have time to ask questions. So why do we need? I think you've seen the reasons why I upskilled or reskilled myself. And it is because of so many changes. Change is the only thing that's permanent in this life. Okay. It's the only thing that's permanent. So you better accept it, get a grip on it, because it's really that. You cannot deny it. And what change are we talking about? Especially now, there's digitalization and technological development at exponential rate. Okay. Some things that we don't know that can happen now, that we have not imagined before, is happening now. Okay. Why do we need it now? Based on my experience, because we need it for our employability. When there's a position, or when you want to change, where you're not happy about your salary, or when you're not happy about your team and you want some change, of course you still have to think about your employability. So what do I do? How do I future proof my career, or how do I create these changes in my career? So then you have to upskill or reskill. Okay. And indeed, even if you decide not to change your workplace, you're just happy already, you're a government employee in the Philippines, and as far as I can remember, in the Philippines, once nasa government ka, you have so many benefits, something like this, so you don't want to get out of it. But again, you can still be obsolete or irrelevant staff. I mean, maybe you're still there, but people think that you are already obsolete because you're still using the typewriter. Maybe you cannot use a PC. So of course they cannot kick you off because of your contracts and all these labor cases. But again, for you, if nobody talks to you and nobody thinks that you're productive at work, you don't feel happy. And of course, if you're not happy, you're not successful. Okay. And again, no, for organizations, I know we have some employers also in the participants. So how do we show that we care about the people in their future? We upskill and reskill them, because we know that, they need this. They need this for themselves. Now, I think one question when I did this reskilling and upskilling talk within one group, they said just with employers say like, oh, so what is that? Like, we will reskill and upskill, and then once they have these skills, once they're upgraded, they leave the company and go to to this big multinational companies. So what is that? So again, this is, I mean, the worst thing that you can do is not to train them and then let them stay in your company. All these people that let's say upgraded employees that you will create will always be a good marketing brand for your company. They will always be happy to talk about your company. They would not say like, oh no, don't ever go to the company, because when you get there, you'll get stuck forever. No future, no career. Your salary will always be like this only, la la la, don't go there. But if you create people, because you always retrain or upskill them, if you create people who are very, really, up to the current situation now, I mean, that even if they leave you, it's a good thing for your company. All right. And again, why do we need this? I mean, overall, I think if you get it from my sharing, it's all about life improvement. I mean, there are things that maybe it's like, you never get contented in your job. No, it's really, I don't get contented, because I think that I can do more. I mean, I'm not just so all my employers, they still love me because I left there with a good reputation. I left there not giving them the feeling that I rejected their offer, or that I just trashed them after them training or supporting me. No, I just want the life improvement. When I was sad in Cebu, I thought, no, I want to be with my family. So I want to improve the quality of my life. So I'll go to Baguio and find a job there. And of course, before I did the move, I make sure I have a job, so my employability. All right. You do calculated risk. You don't just kind of reskill yourself like, now I'm not going to be a clerk anymore. I want to be doing e-commerce. But then you have not really prepared yourself for that kind of e-commerce career. So then for some time you will have no money, and of course, or income to even cover your needs. So then you will become unhappy. So again, there's a bit of planning there, and we will try to touch on that later. So again, the future work is going to be different from now. And I'm not just saying future of work, okay? Because again, upskilling or skilling is also in your personal life. So the future of work or the future of your family is going to be different from it is now, because again, now kids are all into these gadgets. So how do you want to become a parent to these kids who always loves to be in their gadgets? So then you have to reskill or upskill or you have to be to upskill yourselves in terms of parenting this type of generation. Because I mean, we have to accept you cannot stop your kids from using this. I mean, even my kids use it. They're young, and I also allow them to use it. But of course, I put some kind of limit. So again, we have to embrace changes. We have to embrace the future. We have to embrace the now, most importantly. All right. And I want to emphasize in this digitalization and technological development, because during this COVID, during this now new normal, that we're all at home, we are kind of locked down still. Now we realize this is very important, digitalization and technological development. Now that the YWCA is doing, like what the president said, this COVID should not stop us from doing our programs and services. And now they leverage on digitalization and technological development. That's why now we're able to do this Zoom Y series. The YWCA immediately thought, okay, how do we do it now? And now the people, the staff are skilled to plan this thing. And I'm very impressed, actually. So that's also an example, okay? Just to have some kind of emphasis, because indeed there's so many work, okay? If you talk about work, there's so many work that are impacted or automated already by technology. When you say automated already, they don't need a person anymore there. Okay, so for example, this one, if you see these robots, this is not what's happening in Germany. We have events. I think the last time when I did my events business, when I went to a big event, there are no more receptionists like sexy women, and because in Germany, okay, sexual workers here are legal. But then, of course, there's so many feminists. There's a big feminist movement here. They don't want this, use of sexy women or sexualization of women in this context, even in broad daylight. So they thought, now if you go to events, you don't see all these sexy, attractive women in booth. You see robots, okay? And people are more excited to deal with robots than with this, with these pretty, sexy women. And they're so cute, right? You can ask them anything, and I mean, I've used them. I really, I think one time I really hang out with a robot for 2 hours. It's like almost a human, and even more fun. Anyway, so that now also checkout counters in Germany. Okay, I'm just showing this to you, not because it's too advanced, no, not really. I mean, there are some aspects that are very advanced in the Philippines or elsewhere and not here. So just to say that, there's a lot of artificial intelligence going on all over the world. In Germany, there are so many jobs that are not anymore, that are already obsolete, like cashiers. We don't do that anymore because we have self-checkout. Now maybe you can see this, there's a boy here who so instead of 10 cashiers or 5 cashiers, they only have one good-looking guy, friendly, hopefully, who will assist, old people or anybody who do not know how to use it, instead of 10 cashiers. So this affects the bottom line of the company. Now, hey Siri. So if maybe your husband used to ask you all the time, Han, can you close the window, or the light, la la la. And I think, at least what I've seen in Germany, you don't even have to talk to your spouse. You can just say, Siri, turn off the light, and then it's we have smart houses here. Everything is like la la. So, and there were some. Here in Germany, there's so many commercials about Siri, because there are many men who do not want to talk to their wives anymore because they enjoy talking to Siri, because Siri does not knock them, So I also have my own Siri. I call it Soro, and because we have some digitalization at home also, but still, indeed, make sure that Siri will not replace you as the spouse in your house, or something like this. Okay, just a fun example. And again, if you see here in the immigration, there are no more immigration, immigration officers there. There's just all this, there's just all this, automation that you can do, like self-counter. Everything is, and then people feel more, and I mean, I have to be honest, when I go to this if there is a choice of going to a person or a self-checkout, at least here in Germany, I don't go to the one with the person, because they're not friendly, or they're very, I just don't like how they do customer service. But when I go to a counter or a robot, it's like they're so nice. So, and I don't have this, thing about this human interaction that is not a good experience for me sometimes. So this is, maybe an experience that I have now, but I'm sure that, this is coming to the Philippines as well, if not yet there. Okay. I mean, I was there last year, but I didn't see any of this thing happening except the control in the for the passport at the airport. You have this already now, so there's more efficiency and effectivity because now at least in terms of immigration, there's not enough. Maybe there's no more red tape or whatever thing like that. So there, and now. And the surprising thing is like even young people are already involved in coding, so 6 years old up. So what is that? I have to say. And again, this technology, there are more startups now, but less employees. So even if this digitalization is going to, they say, it's going to really reduce a lot of work where should be humans. Okay, so like YouTube, they sold at 165 billion, but they had only 25 employees. Can you imagine? I mean, how they did that? Well, they leverage on technology. They made a technology that can be done by maybe 100, 200 people, but then because of technology, you only need 25 people. Instagram, 1 billion, 13 employees. Okay. Now, just to mention quickly, just to focus on digitalization, just to be, really convinced that, this is really happening. There's this study done by McKinsey on work automation, and they said, like, they've proven that 45% of the activities that people are doing can be automated. So at least this is in the US done, not yet in the Philippines. So don't be threatened. But again, please prepare, upskill, reskill. Okay, so those are many jobs. So you see, anything that's more like physical work, 78% it can be automated, and this is happening now in Germany. And okay, in terms when we deal with people, okay, like managing others, of course, it's still less because leadership is something that is difficult to automate. So for that, there's still chance for upskilling. Okay, and now, so what is the current strategies of companies or organizations? So usually they hire less employees, they leverage on technology, and because of that, they just look for skill sets. So what are the skill sets? For example, they will just look for people who can do creative marketing. Not necessarily that they are, they have a degree on this, but that they were just kind of trained to do creative marketing. So all these different skill sets. It's not anymore somebody who, you don't see vacancies now saying, you should be a graduate of economics or you should be a graduate of nursing. At least I'm talking about vacancies in Germany. They should not say that. They would just say, can you do, like very specific tasks for nursing? So skill set. So what's important now is the learnability, that the people are able to learn. They're able to learn and they're able to want to learn. Okay. So now, so this is now, that's just the introduction. No, that's also part of it. Okay. So I mean, I'm not going to make it very formal, this definition, just very, very quickly about upskilling. So like what I've showed in my example of my own life, upskilling is training people who need to learn new skills to improve their current performance without changing their position or career path. So when I wanted to do marketing, I became a marketing manager, sales manager. I just kind of upskilled there, but I stayed there in that path, in career, in that marketing career path. Okay, so something like that. Upskilling. So why is this important? Well, first of all, because employee turnover is very expensive. So what is the turnover? Like when they leave, okay? So there was a study saying that, losing one millennial cost $25,000, or that's about 1 million pesos. Because of course, company will have to spend additional money for recruitment, okay, to replace that person. And then also this staff has to be trained because the old staff who left took their knowledge and experience with them. They just don't leave. They bring their brain, of course. So it's like a loss. So it's almost 1 million to lose. One millennial. It's just a millennial. A millennial is like an entry level starter. What if you lose an expert or a manager? It can even be more. Now, don't go to your employer now saying, "Oh, you have to increase my annual salary to 1 million. Because if you lose me, you lose 1 million." So you just say, the employer especially, they should really realize that every person that works there is important, is a value, is an investment, okay? And again, this upskilling is a positive alternative to bringing in new staff. So instead of like hiring, we invest who is there already, because whether they are there because they need the sueldo or whether they are there because they really love there, this is investment, okay? You invest in them, And then when they feel that they can move into bigger and better jobs in the organization, when they feel like, wow, now I'm just a clerk. Oh, one day I can be a manager, and la la la. Because this is something that the company supports, that they train them to be managers in the future, that they train them to be doing other things. And this leads to high morale and increased productivity of staff. Okay. And again, happy staff, happy customers. Sometimes you go to the cashier. That's why here in Germany, I don't want to go to the people cashier, because it looks like they're not happy. I don't know if they're not happy because they are paid low, or something like this, but maybe because they also don't think that there is something beyond that. They cannot be maybe supervisor, or they cannot be like the store manager, something like this. So again, happy staff, happy customers. And again, maybe this kind of definition I'm just using in terms of the context of work, like corporate work or work in the organizations. Now if you're a parent, or if you're maybe, okay, I use the parent. If you are a happy parent because you've upskilled your parenting skills, then your kids are also happy. And of course, mothers, when we are happy, everyone is happy at home. But when we are, nabubugnot, nako, walang ulam, everyone is affected. Okay, and this is important. Women who are challenged to develop and grow are often the happiest ones in the organization. And I think studies say that women who are successful at work, most likely they're also successful in their personal life, because they challenge themselves. Like, I cannot be successful only here. I also have to be successful in my personal life, in my career. And it's just one life. There's no work or personal. It's one life, So I better, if women who really reflect and wanting to really upskill or develop and grow, all aspects are affected. Okay. Now, just throwing some examples there. What is upskilling? So it's just something like that. Like, if you're a manager, you're just using Excel before, and now there is some new automation, then you use it so that it's easier for you. So it makes your life easier as a manager. So you upskill. You're still a manager. You're still doing the same thing, but you use new technology now, so it's easier for you. You can manage more people instead of doing what you have to sign. Now, for example, the retail business. I think there are many of you who maybe had stores before, like selling candies or selling sweets or something like this. And then you thought, now in the COVID, you leverage on technology. You did e-commerce. So you did Facebook Live selling. You did, search engine optimization. You put a website. You put something like this. And I mean, now, for example, for this retail business, they did a better inventory, logistics, and digital marketing through data analysis. So they use some platforms. Okay, they still is doing the same thing. They just kind of upskilled what to do, because now it's COVID. There are no people going to the stores. What do we do? Okay, now clerks are being trained, for example, to do MS Word document, and we don't have typewriters now. We have the MS Word, the MS Office, but surprisingly, when they did a study, not everyone is just using the basic MS Word. I mean, there's advanced Word, there is like super advanced Excel. You use macros like this, like that. But surprisingly, when they did the study, I mean, not everyone is using. People are just using the basic, things in the MS Office. Okay, and again, I said it's not only for work that you can upskill. For example, as couples, you can upskill yourself by taking on marriage counseling and communication courses, so that you improve your marriage. So you feel like, yeah, I want some improvement with my relationship with my wife. Let me do some courses online or somewhere in churches. And also another example is, parents taking online courses to learn tools in how to homeschool their children, because this is very difficult. So, how about learning some tools? Now, in terms of reskilling, reskilling is almost the same like upskilling, but reskilling is like a totally, new environment. So this is training people who have shown they have the aptitude for learning a completely new occupation. Now, what is aptitude? No, aptitude is more like your desire and your inclination towards it. So there would be some tests, for example, like this. So again, I'm using a corporate definition here, okay? But indeed, reskilling is just really learning a new skill. So, for example, okay, why? Why you need to do it? Again, for the reasons that we mentioned already, and then also because, when your business needs to pivot fast because of changes, then this is good. So I'll give a very nice example where there's really a woman hero here. Because again, reskilling also will retain the best talent. Okay, you don't when your business model change, for example, or in your school, now maybe you're not doing. For example, in your school now, before it's a medical school, but now there's no more people wanting to be doctors. They all want to do computer science because now it's all digitalization. So how do you do that? So maybe you have to reskill the people who are doing public nursing, and then do a bit of training so that no, you don't lose people. They are reskilled to adapt to what is needed. So just maybe that's a extreme example, but let's show another extreme one. In the 1950s, or this is even in the past, the story of Dorothy Vaughan. She used to be a mathematician. So before, they don't have this computer. They have only these big machines. As they're doing a lot. There's some little machines or big machines, but it's more like people are like computing paper and pen. They're mathematicians, so there were many women doing that because they were patient, these women. And then NASA bought this IBM computer, and it was to replace her whole team. So they don't need any more these human mathematicians. They just need one machine. Everything is done. So what she did is like she trained herself and her team by just reading a book, the IBM Fortran, and then she trained herself to be able to train these women mathematicians to become expert programmers. Because you may say the mathematics and programming is, you think like it's related anyway. No, it's totally different also. I mean, programming is totally different from mathematics. They can be related, but it's totally different. Okay, so she reskilled the whole team. Okay, and again, in reskilling, the best case scenario is that you start this early so that they're able to adopt, and then they're ready when something happens. So like what I said, when I become an office assistant in the European Central Bank, I went to this team where we are doing preparation for crisis. So what we were doing in preparation before, six years ago, is now what we are able to adopt now during the COVID scenario. So it's very easy. It's like we didn't even have any disruption at all. Okay. So now, if you're up in the grassroots community, what is an example of reskilling? Now, if before you're just at home, not really at home, just at home. If you're at home, focus on your kids, and then all of a sudden there was like community training on making bags, So before, your skill is more like just to taking care of because to be a housewife is also a set of skill set, no? So before, if you're just there, taking care of your family, now you thought, maybe I can reskill myself also to do some economic activities that will be good for my family. So then you go to some community trainings on maybe weaving baskets or things like this. So the question is, what do I do now? So first you have to, the first thing is awareness, self-reflection. If you're going to get a copy of this presentation, you click this self-development toolkit. It will help you or your organization to do this self-reflection. Why is this important? Well, it's important because you have to be aware. What are your skills? What's your current skill level? You have to learn. Yes, we are all unique, and God loves us, and God gave us everything that we need to already achieve whatever we want. But again, what is your awareness of who you are, or who you want to be, or what you want to be in 10 years from now? Okay. For organizations, you have to be aware of the jobs you need in the future and also the skills that will be required. Okay. If the universities now, they said like, okay, in the US again, they said, universities, there would be 15-25% of universities that will close because nobody will anymore go to enroll, because now they can do all online and things like this. So if knowing that can happen in the future, what jobs or what skills should you equip your workforce with? All right. And then in terms of awareness, I want to emphasize here again the word learnability. What is learnability? So this is your desirability to continue to learn. Again, upskilling, reskilling. This is all about your desire. You should want to learn, okay, and to continue learning. And then, I just created this image, okay, out of I was inspired actually in a sermon in church last weekend, in Cathedral of Praise by Pastor David Sumrall. I think he mentioned about promotability and sustainability. And I thought like, this suits very much, because if you're able to learn a lot, you can be promoted and then you can sustain your future. You have no gaps, okay? And if you can do that, you will be likable. And all this, leads to success. It will make you happy, all right? And again, you have to reflect, okay? And then after that, you assess. So you don't, it's not just about reflection. You have to assess, and then by assessing it, because you have to, you see what are the gaps, where what do I need to do. So for example, you are doing Facebook Live, then you thought, I think I really want to do a lot, full-blown e-commerce business. What do I really want to make it like a business now, like, with taxes and all. What do I do? So then you see the gap. You don't know taxation. You don't know all this website design. So then you see where are the skills that you want to upskill yourself. Okay. And it's important that when you assess, you get feedback. Or you can do this if you're in an organization to do service among your staff, ask them. Then you see how do they assess themselves. And also as an individual, you have to get feedback. You ask your boss, or you ask people that you trust. You ask mentors, you ask people that you work with, and be surprised. And and be not surprised when they say something that you don't like. You should not be defensive when they say, "I actually, you are a very disorganized. I don't like how you organize your work. You're not very organized. You're so messy. You la 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 la." So you have to be not surprised and also not defensive when you get feedback. And this is important assessment, especially collecting feedback, because the studies say that most people assess themselves better than what they are really perceived by other people, especially men. Okay, now for women, there's a study that says, women assess themselves lesser than what they really are. So again, when women are asked, now you will be the manager, and even for my experience, I was like, no, I don't think I'm ready for that. La la la. So get a feedback. It's very important what other people think of you, the people you work with. Now after that, strategy. Okay, so you have to do something. You have to have a plan. So strategy is all about plan. How do we do this? So then you have to have strategies to provide training and development activities. So this is all about now. You have to plan your reskilling and upskilling within a time frame required. Okay, you don't just say we do this. No, you have to measure. So they say we do this within 2 years, and then we see what's the effect. You track the development of people. Okay. Now maybe I have a question. There is this one, just to make sure that you're still awake. So there's a saying that you can't teach old horses new tricks. Okay, because just to say, what is, just to focus on learnability. And you always hear this when they say, you can't teach old horses new tricks. So, people in the government, ang tatamad. But they're just like that. You cannot change them anymore. And this and that. Oh, yung manager namin, walang kwenta talaga yun, pero you cannot change her. La la la. This is true. Can we not really teach people new tricks? Can we not upskill them or reskill them? Is it true or false? Okay, so you can answer this yourself. But just to say that this is false. This is false because we are not horses. Okay, I think even horses would say, okay, I think I saw some chat. Even horses, I think if they hear this and if they can talk, they would say, that's not true, that's false. How dare you say we cannot learn new tricks? I mean, it's not, in the first place, we're not horses, okay? God created us as, higher at the highest level. Our brain is totally function differently from those of horses or animals. So please do not identify yourself as a horse who cannot learn anymore. And again, our brain, God gave us a magnificent brain. And now with new researches on neurology about neuroplasticity, which means the brain can change anytime, at any age. It's all about repetition. It's about training. So indeed, if you feel like, oh no, there's a hope. There's a hope. Okay, you can still learn. Okay, you have the ability to learn. Okay, now we go to strategies. So how do you do this? Again, learning is all about, if you look here first on the other side, it says there, you can learn. There's no excuse not to learn, because first you can do learning in the traditional classroom training. And then if you have budget in your company, you send them even to seminars or, travel so that they have an incentive to learn somewhere. And now you can also do virtual learning like what we're doing now everywhere. Okay, I'll show you later which platform to go. You can do virtual learning with your computer. So if you don't have a computer, you have also, again, no excuse, because I'm sure you have a smartphone where you can download apps or podcasts or watch YouTube or watch, everything, even this one happening on Facebook now live. Okay, so there's many places. So place does not matter where you learn. There's always something somewhere where you can learn. Okay, now how do we strategize? Now again, this is maybe sounding too corporate, okay, too organizational oriented, but it's always good to, again, awareness and assessment. So performance management development, you do it regularly, annually, okay, hopefully. And then you adopt a skills development platform. So this is something more like an online education or certification platform to track. So companies, usually big companies or budget, of course, or schools, they should they get this platform where they adopt it for the whole company, where the employees can have their own password, and then they go there anytime when they have time, during lunch, or even maybe like 1 hour during their working hours, they can do that. All right, so they learn there at the convenience of them. And you can also do this by coaching. People, there's so many inspiring people at your work or somewhere, coaching, learning support groups for employees or for the moms, everywhere, virtual, online, everywhere. There's also like what we call lunch learn at work. They provide lunch while we listen to a seminar, or we have brown bag seminars where there's like a sandwich in a brown bag, and then we go to this half an hour or 1 hour training, and there's an incentive, there's food, so you don't need to miss your snack time, but you're still learning. Okay, and of course, most importantly, volunteer. Volunteer in the YWCA, you will learn many things. And how do you do this? You do job shadowing. So what is job shadowing? Job shadowing is like you're in your company, or you go to another department, because for example, for me, I like to do events, so I can job shadow in the events department. And by that, then I don't need to go out of the company just to do events management. I already have experience doing it, because it's in the same company. And of course, job shadowing, you're still doing your current job, but then of course you dialogue with your boss and say, okay, this is my plan. You can do an unpaid apprenticeship. Okay, so unpaid apprenticeship is like, maybe now during the COVID you became unemployed. Okay, but then you thought, oh, okay, maybe nobody's hiring now, so why don't I just offer myself to do unpaid apprenticeship? Because it's one thing of marketing yourself, your employability. So if maybe you say, okay, I'm in travel, like maybe you're in another industry, like let's say you're in the nursing, you're a nurse, and during this time you have no job, so why don't you just offer an unpaid apprenticeship? I think they did this sometime, no, I heard last year, but something like that. Okay, or you did travel things, and now nobody's traveling, but maybe there are tools that you want to learn while this is happening. So then you go to another company and say, okay, can I help you with your business, but you don't need to pay me, something like this. Or of course, community projects. You volunteer in your community projects, you will learn a lot there. If you want to learn new skills, you go there, and then you can even earn more money. All right. And of course, this one, horizontal mobility across departments and unpaid external work. Now, this is a little bit for more advanced companies, like maybe where I am now. So for example, I got promoted when I moved to another department who needed somebody to do this type of management work. So there was an opportunity, and in our organization, they promote this. So they allow people, they will say, mention a vacancy, and then they think, let's offer promotion for people to do that. So I got one of these horizontal mobility promotions. Or you can also do unpaid external work. So maybe some organizations like where I'm working now, after 3 years, if you already get kind of a permanent work, and then you realize, I still want to work in the United Nations, but then I don't want to lose my work now here. So that you can go for leave, like an unpaid leave, you can work there for maximum 5 years. And if you change your mind, you can come back anytime. So your workplace is reserved for you, or your work contract is still reserved for you. Okay, so we're almost done. Now this is I hope you're all still awake. Now, online learning certification platforms. Okay, so I said you can you can do virtual learning. So if you want to be certified, okay, because again, if you watch YouTube, if you watch Facebook Live, if you watch Facebook, what's this? Maraming videos yan, nagaganda. Sometimes I'm on Facebook just also to learn, because there's so many free trainings there for like 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour. But then, of course, they cannot give me certification. They cannot say like, oh, she spent 40 hours on Facebook to learn this. No. But of course, if you want something for a formal certification, you can go to this. You can go to Coursera, Udemy, Rosetta Stone, all those ones samples that I put there. So I chose this. I've used some of them to also get some online learning. And the good thing is they also offer free courses. So for example, in Coursera, I did a law course, a short law legal course from Harvard University. It's free. And the only thing that I have to pay, or I would have to pay, is like, I think $25 if I want the certification. Okay, but if you just want to learn about law, they have this free courses from, I've always wanted to go to Harvard, and now I was able to do it for the virtual learning. So again, universities like, I think University of the Philippines, when I'm in the Philippines, I think there was an open university, like you can do this online and things like this, like selected courses. I think Harvard, Oxford, etc., all over the world, they have all these platforms that are free. You can really, really learn. No, even if you cannot afford, even if you have no money, as long as you have a computer and the internet. And just a tip, okay, because I've been a victim of so many of these expensive courses also. So if you're going to pay the program and it's not your employer, it's not somebody sponsoring you to learn that, then for self-paid programs, please avoid the very expensive courses, okay? Because there are like, especially marketing or training in digitalization website, they're like get rich quick training scheme. What is expensive? I mean, for me, for example, I paid for something for marketing for 1,500 euros, so like 80,000 pesos. I'm like, ugh. When I went to that training, I was like, oh, this is so useless. And but I paid it already. So there are so many. So you have to be careful. So if it's too expensive and you think, okay, even if you can afford it, but you still have to think twice, because there's so many free courses online. You just have to really, really research. First, go to YouTube, because YouTube is now, they give you like a taste of this of their course. So if you want the speaker and the outline, then you can go to the university or to this online learning platform, and then then enroll. But then if it's going to be very expensive, just think hard first before you let go of your hard-earned money. Okay. Again, learning is all about learning what? Learning what? Hard skills. So hard skills are job-related knowledge and abilities, like computer skills and designing or apps and things like this. Soft skills is still very important, huh? It's all about the personal qualities that will make you thrive in your workplace, such as collaboration. If you are a leader, you're management and of people management, team management, and all these things. Okay, so what do I do now? So this is almost the second to the last slide. Then we can have questions. So what do I do now? Again, after you become aware of yourself, you assess yourself or your organization, and then you strategize. Now you have to accept that you need to change. Okay, now that you have your skills, new skills. I mean, there are many people that always study, but then they don't take action after that. They don't put it into action. They don't implement, they don't use it, because that will mean for them to get out of their comfort zone, to really change how they do things. So really, you have to be able to know the benefit of it, and again, get out of your comfort zone by taking action. Decide to change and take action. Decide to grow. It's a growth mindset. Don't be limited in your mind saying, okay, now I know this now, but I still don't feel like it. So anyway, I still will not be promoted. So I don't change. I don't put it in practice. No. Growth mindset. We have to grow. We have to grow. We have to grow. We have to survive. We have to adapt to the situation. I mean, people who have done digitalization before the COVID pandemic, they are now able to do whatever they're doing before, right? Okay. And again, I think what I put here from Henry Ford, I already mentioned before. If you do not want to invest, if you're still like hesitant, I don't want to train my employees. I don't want to train all these teachers to learn how to know Microsoft Teams, because maybe they go to another school and that use Microsoft Teams after the training. Again, the only worst thing that you can do than training your employees and having them leave is not training them and having them stay. You don't want irrelevant stuff in your company or in your place. Okay, so this is the thing. I read this somewhere. I don't know where, but I've read it somewhere. I forgot where, so I don't know who said this. So it says, we either do or don't do. And we either make time to do the things we want to and should do, or we make excuses. If you say, I have no time to learn even, but then you have time to watch Netflix, and then you have time to scroll Facebook for 2 hours. I mean, come on. Do learning as a repetition, as a habit, and then your brain will change. It will adapt to it because that's the neuroplasticity. It's able to adapt, but do it habitual. 15 minutes a day will help you learn. Okay. And please put your growth your growth is a personal responsibility. It's in your hands. You don't say, your employer can offer the best package of training, but if you don't decide to choose and see what you really need and engage in it and put it into practice, nothing will happen. So again, take action. You have to do it. You have to do it. It's your responsibility. If you're not happy where you are now, and if you have, or maybe 10 years ago, you were more successful, you think, and now you are not, then what do? Take it as your personal responsibility to do something. Okay, that's it. I was looking at my time. I was like, oh my God, I talked so long. You see, it's good you only had a one speaker now. So again, now it's the time to ask. Ask. It's free. We won't judge. Okay. I said, success is your own definition, and please don't be shy. So that's it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, to start, so here's the question. So how to encourage women to be independent and to empower women holistically amid pandemic?
The first step I said is awareness. So you can encourage them by first letting these women be aware of their role during the situation. So what is their role? Because they have to buy, or they have to be convinced that they can do something now. Okay. So for example, for parents, like if I just go back to the homeschooling, if you're a mother and then you feel like you are so dependent on what the updates of the teachers will do for the homeschooling of your kids, and if you don't understand your role, you will never be independent in supporting your kids, because you will always rely on the teachers. Now, this is not my responsibility. I don't do this, because you don't understand your role in this, in what you have to do now, as regards the education of your kids during this situation. So I think the first step is really to let them know or realize what is their role. Okay. And then when they feel that they can contribute, so this is the buying part. When people believe that they can contribute, you empower them. Okay, you give the power to them that they can do something. Because as long as we tell people what to do, you will never encourage independence in any way. You cannot, when you always give money, for example, to women to feed their kids, instead of like encouraging them to go upskill and reskill themselves and learn some skills to come up with some economic ways to earn money, then there will never be independence. So instead of like giving them money, for example, for women who are in the communities, instead of just giving them always like ration or like this, why don't we upskill and reskill long term, so that they are able to provide for their families? And when they are able, nobody wants to be pabigat, or anong bang tawag dyan sa Tagalog, parang, I don't think that somebody wants to be not batugan, or alam mo yung pabigat sa pamilya or to the community. Anybody who will be trained to do something so that they can earn for their families or for themselves, this is the power. So we encourage them by giving them the power to decide for themselves, and giving them ways and supporting them. How you don't just say, okay, now it's time for you to work, ha? Hindi na kita susuportahan. No, you don't just do that. You instruct them, you help them, you assist them until they become independent. So it's like training kids. Okay, you encourage independence by giving them responsibilities and telling them, okay, your assignment is your responsibility. Okay, but I will help you understand the instruction so that you know how to do it, and then you can do it yourselves. And then I'm here to support you if you have questions. So it's something like that with women.
Thank you. And now for next question po. What program that you have that can empower every woman can rely on? So I think this question is for YWCA, so program, or if you have any insight, May I call in Miss Neri?
Okay, Jess. Oo nga. Parang YWCA dapat mag-respond dito. But of course, Morena is also capable of answering this question because she used to be a member of the National Council and in fact became a world board member of the World YWCA. So, true to its the YWCA has several programs which are cascaded to the different local associations. So each individual local associations are unique in terms of programs and services, but we value the holistic approach, which is the development of the mind, the body, and the spirit. So as you can see in our Facebook page, or you can also open our web page, you would see different activities, programs of the different LAs. The national, especially for this COVID pandemic, in partnership with the Worldwide WCA, we did several webinars that would provide skills and trainings. We also discusses issues that are facing women and young women in the midst of pandemic. We talk about the Safe Spaces Act. We talk about the mental health law because most of our young people or even other women suffered from mental illnesses. Last week we had this how to deal with stress and trauma as if you are experiencing this kind of problems, and there are basic tips that are given. So the programs in general are all anchored on the trust of developing the mind, the body, and the spirit. We do other kinds of other programs and activities on environment protection, sustainability. But all of the Christian principles of the YWCA are encompasses in all these programs. When we do livelihood training, we follow the Christian principles of teaching a man to fish, not giving him fish. Because we don't want dependency, just like what Morena is telling earlier. We're not here to just depend on other people, but we want them to develop their skills, earn their keeps, and be able to provide for their families. So when you talk about environmental sustainability, we also believe in the Christian principles of we are stewards on this earth. We're not here to just use whatever we want and then not be responsible. So there are a lot of programs, and kung sino po ang pagtanong nitong question na to, I would suggest that go to your nearest local YWCA. If you're in that YWCA, you could see the different local association in our web page. And look at it. If you don't have a local association in that area, feel free to message us and we will help you organize a local association and discuss your membership, because most of our activities and programs are offered for members. But these webinars are open to all women and even men and young boys.
Yes, thank you, Miss Neri. Okay, so another question here from our participants. Is it okay for the Catholic faith to have their faith-based organizations member in communities be engaged also with livelihood programs?
I mean, absolutely. Of course. I mean, I think the one misconception about Christianity or Catholic or Christianity as a whole, that that non-faith based or maybe like maybe atheist. Okay, I have atheist friends in the Philippines, and they always say, the Catholics. I was a Catholic in the Philippines before. My mom is a Catholic. They always say they're all poor because they just tolerate poverty. Okay, so they think like poverty is part of our faith, like economic poverty. All right. And but in fact, when you study the Bible, okay, I'm not going to give a sermon now, but I'm just saying that from what I experienced and from my Bible studies, and also listening to people who study the Bible better than me, and also I attend like church services regularly. I think what I learned is like, this is not true. Okay, there is a spiritual poverty with it, which is really what the Bible really addresses. But in terms of economic poverty, again, what I said earlier, the concept of sustainability and promotability that I heard last Sunday in a church. I mean, this is a Christian concept. This is whether you're Catholic or Protestant, whatever, regardless of denomination. Okay, I mean, this is working as if you're working for the Lord, so you can provide for yourself, is something that is in the Bible, and the Bible is something that Catholics also use. So it's not something contradicting. Okay, I mean, I don't think that the Pope in Italy would say, everyone should just remain poor so that they don't, they don't aim for material wealth. Okay, because out of the evil, the love of money, breeds greed and evil. So this is totally different. I mean, there's so many people who are rich, economically rich, let's say, and they're able to spread the faith of Catholicism or Christianity by using the blessings, the material blessings that God gave them. So I mean, so that is totally not. So it's totally consistent. So blessings, whether it is material through money or richness, is totally consistent with the teachings in the Bible. So I think, regardless of denomination, it's supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Morena. So now we have this is questions for my friend actually. So question is, which one matters more? Upskill or reskill? And the follow-up question is, how we will know if the upskill or reskill is successful?
Okay. Well, again, first step is awareness. You have to understand what is your situation. Then you have to assess what do you need to do. Do you have to upskill or reskill? So, for example, you're a call center agent, okay, and then you think like, and then you start not to feel, you feel like you're not contented with your, let's say, salary, because this is obviously the most of the reason, especially when we start to compare ourselves. We say like, oh, this guy, he's not very good in talking. Actually, may accent pa nga siya eh. Pero ano na siya, supervisor or team lead, and he's earning, let's say, 50,000 pesos. And then ako, I'm just, I'm better than him, but I'm still like this. So you have to again, don't compare yourself from that person. You have to compare yourself from your own person, because you don't know what he's been to, what training he did before. So that makes it for you justifiable to compare yourself with him. That makes you feel like it's justifiable that you earn more than him. Okay. So again, you have to be aware of what are you now. So you have to assess your skills, your current skills. Am I really very good in what I'm doing now? Okay, now I really want to be the leader. I want to be the team lead. What do I have to do? You have to assess, am I good in managing people? Because I mean, I think when I became a manager, now I realize why managers are paid more, because you have to deal with problematic people, and that's a very difficult job. Okay, and I think especially when people are very competitive, they become very problematic. So then you're paid more. So now, you have to be aware. If I go to that job, am I able to show the skills that I need to be successful? I mean, how do you say you're successful? Again, based on the Harvard study, if you feel happy that you're doing it. Because I mean, for example, if maybe they're forced to promote you just because they need somebody, even if they're not convinced that you are, they put you there as a manager because you were not upskilled or reskilled to be a manager. Then all of a sudden you don't know how to handle people. Then you become stressed out. Then you don't feel happy when you're stressed out. So again, when you are happy with what you're doing, that's a measurable, or that's an indicator that you are successful. Okay, and then it's not about discontentment. It's all about, I mean, discontentment is different from growth. Okay, discontentment is always you're complaining. You're always putting the responsibility to other people. You're blaming everybody. I cannot work now kasi ang dami kong anak. So you're blaming your kids that they exist. Okay? I cannot do this because yung asawa ko not supportive. I cannot do this because yung boss ko very, very biased. Favorite niya yung kung sino ganito, yung naging boyfriend niya, lalalala. So, if you always have a lot of excuses and you're not putting it in as your responsibility, your growth, then, that discontentment, that is complaining, that's totally negative. It will not bring you anywhere. Assess yourself. You know how that it's upskilling if you are staying in your own place. If you want to be, like in my example, if you're a call center agent and you want to be a leader still in that contact call center agent, or not even that, maybe in another call center, but a leader, not anymore an agent. So then you have to upskill with management skills or leadership skills. And if you want to reskill, maybe let's say you're a call center agent now, you want to be a website developer, because as a call center agent, you were doing customer service for website platforms. But now you really want to do the website themselves. So then you said, I heard they earn so much because you were doing all this customer service, la, la. So you got more details about the industry of or the skills of website designers. So you thought, I think I can do that. Let me reskill myself. Let me enroll in this course. Then later I will do that job. So that's reskilling. Okay.
Another question po. Do we need to be, need po ba makagraduate para po mag-upskill and reskill?
The answer is no. I mean, I think one thing that you have, I mean, I don't want to discredit the purpose of going to the university, okay? Because I'm personally a product of a university training or I had a bachelor's degree. Because again, even if I don't use now my medical technology training, all the soft skills that I learned during the time that I was studying in the university helped me a lot. What are these soft skills? It's about the grit, it's about perseverance, the patience to do, your goal orientation in your mind, your collaboration with other people, all these soft skills that I learned during the time that you were in university. I mean, there's so many things that even me, I would say, I mean, I was even studying calculus back then, and I was like, do I even use it now? It's totally useless, something like this. But again, during the time that I was studying calculus, there are so many soft skills that I was able to learn, because it was so difficult to do all these calculus equations that, I developed perseverance, which helped me now in whatever I'm doing, whether it's related to what I finish or not. But again, now, so in terms of, university degree, yeah, if you can afford it, and if you have the patience to finish it, because again, our model is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is a finisher, huh? He said it is finished. So once you start your degree, you have to finish it, okay? Wag magsayang ng pera dahil, your parents really work hard for it. But again, if you have no possibility, or, you totally convince yourself, I don't want to waste my time in the university. Now, I think, just to share, in Germany, university degree is not promoted that much. It is promoted if you want to be a doctor, because of course you don't want a doctor. You want somebody who's really trained to be a doctor to open you, or to somebody, a pilot, to really run a plane, So these are really degree-based skills. It's really like a highly specialized skill that you have to study in a university or school. But here in Germany, I think why it's very rich, because they have a very good system of supporting students. So you only need a high school. So after you finish high school, you have the option: do you go to the university, or you go for an apprenticeship? So apprenticeship is 3 years usually. So you say, I want to do, because Germany is industry based. That's why unemployment is very low, because not everyone is good in academics, but everyone can be good in certain skills. Okay. So now they leverage on that. They do a lot of skills training. So they go for, after high school, you go for vocational, something like what TESDA offers. Okay. But during these 3 years, you're already working and learning. You're on the job training. So it's apprenticeship. So you're earning maybe not so much, but maybe like 1/3 of what you will earn if you already finish it at the same time. So these are vocational things. Germany takes pride in the cars, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, all this. And do you need a degree to have these cars? No, these are done by mechatronics. These are done by people who only studied 3 years, vocational. They studied skill set. So what skill set? So one only studied something to put the tires. One only studies something or get trained on something to do the windows, for example, or the technology in the steering wheel. So they have very specific skill set training, and then that's it. So again, please don't feel like if you cannot afford to go to university, that's it for you. It's like a dead end for you. No, I mean, come on, there's TESDA now there. And also, I've said, there's so many online platforms that are free. If you want to be a lawyer but you don't have money, then you go to all this online platform that offers like courses like that, and then you can finish it. Because I mean, Philippines is very academic. Maybe that's what I can say, and I'm very proud of that, because we really have so many college graduates all over, more than any country in the world, I think. I mean, in Germany, again, I've said what I've noticed here, people are working. So many people are working, but not everyone has a degree. My husband did not finish university, but he's a manager now. And also, I mean, he just did a very simple training. And then now he's able to support the family, be happy, and, have a good life. So the university degree does not assure that you will have a good future, okay? If you don't do anything about it. Of course, when you finish, you look for a job, and then if you really want to apply that, then yeah, that's it. I mean, I know somebody, I hope she's not watching now. I know somebody who just loves to study. I think when I was there, I mean, this guy is very, and it's good that he's a guy. But I just say, like, he's very brilliant, this guy. He has so many master's degree. I think he has 3 master's degree, and until now he has no job. Okay, then he went for a PhD, and I think the mom asked even, like, when will you study? When will you work? I mean, I think he was already in his 40s when I left the Philippines, and this guy is still with the mom. Yeah, and then, I mean, come on, you are the most brilliant person in the world. You have so many degrees, even from the UK. And you cannot even apply it. You didn't take action. You were upskilled, reskilled in that particular degree. What did you do about it? This is useless. So, I mean, again, it doesn't matter where you have a university degree. If you want to grow, you can grow. There's so many ways you can grow and you can learn. Okay, especially now with all the digital learning. Come on, you have no excuse not to learn. Definitely. Plus, there are a lot of scholarships. Okay.
Now, we have another question here po. Most of the women in the community we are serving do not have work. Can you help us to give us an income generating training that can help them to support their family in this new normal situation?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, first, of course, if you're dealing with the women from the communities, grassroots communities, like women who are illiterate, let's say, you don't start by insulting them, okay? You don't encourage them to be independent by insulting them, saying, bobobo nyo, and you like this, you have nothing to do for your family. So, sige, I will offer you some training, okay? So we don't empower people by showing the negative effect, or by insulting them. We empower them. So this is also in relation to your first question. It's like you don't empower somebody by insulting them, by saying, like, oh, it's time for you to cook kasi ang tamad-tamad mo, or mga ganyan. So let's be aware of their situation. Their situation is like, okay, they were, maybe some of them are illiterate. They did not go to school at all, even elementary. So they have no chance to, of course, especially in the Philippines. I mean, there's so many college graduates who have no job. How can you even compete with them if you did not even finish anything? Something like this. So let's look at the situation, and then let's talk to them and be aware of their condition. And then let's see, again, be aware. We do a skills assessment with them. What do you enjoy doing? What do you want to do? Let's listen to what they have to say, because most of the time we have a program that we already customized, and then we just brought it a community, and then we expect them to learn, or we expect them to just accept it. But again, is it something that they really see value in? Okay. So, for example, in terms of economic training, I mean, I think now there's so many, Ma'am Neri mentioned earlier, the environmental aspect that we do. And I think now in Germany, and also, especially in Asia, I see now a lot of partnership with developed countries in terms of the global warming and environmental programs. So now they do is like, actually, there's one project that I saw that is done in the Philippines. Actually, I forgot the organization, but it is more like they go to the, I think it's somewhere in Visayas or Davao, or Visayas or Mindanao, and they go to this. It's considered a tribe, because you have to go walk, I think, 3 hours before you can go to that place. So this is there are like tribal women who have no jobs, of course, and they're out of civilization, let's say it like that, but they can do something because they're taking care of their families, and then they think, it's so poor as a community, what can we do to help them? Now they look in their environment, it's full of things that you can do to to weave baskets, something like this. And all these organic products, like organic furnitures, are very expensive here in developed countries like Germany. So I think one project that they did is like to train these women how to do all these organic furnitures, and then from there they export this to these countries, and then it's something like that. So they train them to do this and let them, and they help them realize that there is something that you can do with the resources around you. So something like this. So it opened their mind to see that, oh wow, these things around me, like all these plants or things like this, coconut, I can do something with it with my own hands without leaving my community, my tribe, and still get money. Or, well, I think they don't really give them money in terms of cash, but they give them food, like protein, rich food, and things that you cannot see in their natural environment. So something like eggs or milk for the kids and things like this. So they see it. So they when because money is nothing for them. They don't see any value in the paper money because there are no stores anyway. So they finish all these woven furnitures. It's sent somewhere and exported here, and then the one who kind of the agent there goes back with a lot of groceries. Let's say it like that. And then they see it, like, they're very convinced that, wow, it's bringing something for us. It's bringing food to the table. It's giving some nutrition for the kids. The kids become less sick. So now they kind of buy in the idea. So I think for communities like that, I mean, you don't have to be in a tribe or in a remote area to do that. You can also just go to, let's say, okay, what we call squatters area in the Philippines, and then do a bit of like economic skills training with them. You have to of creating something. It's all about creating something that can be exchanged for something. Because I mean, again, if it's totally like the literacy is low and things like this, it has to be more like a physical product that you have to help them train to produce. Okay, I hope that answers the question.
Okay. So next question po, men excels in technology. So how does technology can help women to be empowered or to be switching from one job to another?
Well, thank you. I like this question because I think I forgot to emphasize this in my presentation. Again, what I've said, about the growth mindset. Growth mindset is all about not having any limitation. And the question is already a question of limitation. It says already there, men excel in technology, but not women. Okay, so that was the silent statement there. This is more like a male dominated, and this is true. I mean, in terms of the reality now, this is true in terms of numbers, statistics. There are more men working in technology, but that doesn't mean that men are better in technology. Okay, so I mean, if you remember what I used there as a woman, I specifically used that woman example, the NASA mathematician, because this was in the 1950s, where women rights are, they don't appreciate women at all. So that was an extreme one, because even before then, I mean, those are women mathematicians who did not limit themselves to thinking we can just be mathematicians, just doing this. No, they were mathematicians, and even more, they then upskilled themselves to be programmers. This was like in the 1950s, and now there are more opportunities for women. I mean, there are so many women now working in computer science. There are more and more. So the opportunity is there, just to be clear. The opportunity is there, but the women are not yet open for it because they are still limiting their thinking to thinking that, this is not for women. So if you're still in that, you're still in the stereotype. You're still in the stereotype that, we are just breastfeeding and, housewives and things like this. The men are still better in this field. No, you have to not think that. I mean, if you start thinking that, then you are already biasing your limitation, your growth. You're already saying that, for example, even if you get there, even if you become already good even if you upskilled yourself and then you got a job, but if you do not remove this thinking that men are better than you, every time there's a promotion, you will not apply. Every time there is a promotion for salary, you don't question why are you paid lower than men. And now this is even a better study. They really see that, there's a salary gap because it's still very biased, the system. They still pay more for men than for women. And this is one thing that we don't accept because we are YWCA, we are empowered to change this, okay? I mean, we have to do it now, you know, if you don't think that it's fair to have lower salary compared to men for doing the same job, you have to speak out, okay? I mean, and definitely your manager cannot say, because you're a woman, you know, this is, you know, men excel better in this. They cannot say that to justify where you're getting a lower salary. Definitely not. So it's based on performance. Again, you have to be aware, huh? Because again, maybe these men that you're comparing yourselves with were already advanced trained than you at that point. So again, you have to be aware of your current situations. You have to be realistic. If you cannot be realistic enough to assess yourself, feedback. Ask somebody, ask a mentor, ask your boss. It's like, I did not get this promotion because maybe you really want men to do this job. And then maybe he would say things that that will surprise you and that will open your mind and think like, okay, now I have to develop in this area so that I can be considered very good as well in this in this industry that is more male dominated, something like that. Okay, so please remove that thought. We can do everything in the same way that men can do. Okay, this is not gender specific. There's no gender specific industry. Even doctors who you know, yung mga OB-gynecologists nagpapaanak, di ba may mga lalaki din na ganun. And then if you think like and when I gave birth, there was like this guy, and I was like, oh, who is this guy? I don't want him to see that. You know, I only want women, so I was very stereotyped. You know, so again, there's no more industry that is specific for women or men only. So remove this thought, and when you don't think of it, it won't bother you at all in terms of your planning.
Next question. So I'm not seeing any questions on our Facebook, and if you have I think this will be the last question. Okay, so to end this Q&A, so what are your last words to our audience, most especially to young people who are struggling right now in coping into new normal?
Well, I hope that I really inspired the young women, because again, as I've said, I started in YWCA as a very young woman, also 14 years old. And maybe I forgot to mention, I mean, I did not come from a rich family, okay? I had economic struggles, definitely. I mean, until I finished. That's why, I mean, maybe I forgot to say I started medical technology because I wanted to be a doctor. But then when I finally finished, I realized our family has no money to bring me to medical school. Okay, and I have to be realistic that I also now can earn and help my family, because we are 5 in the family, like 5 girls. And of course, when I graduated, I think that's the time that my 2 young sisters are also going to college already. So I thought, you know, this is not, I mean, I cannot let them stop and then I just go to medical school, so that and just so you know, I was a scholar in college. So it's a very prestigious university, but I didn't pay for it. It was paid by my scholarship. So, but without the scholarship, I don't think that I would be able to finish something good. And maybe just to say there, like, you know, I was a young woman with a very humble background. I mean, I won't say we're poor, okay, but we're also not rich. So say middle class, really, we don't have so much money. Because I was able to I was open for growth, you know, I was open to opportunities, and I look for opportunities in school. And when I was in high school, there are some seminars by the YWCA, and they have free snacks. And sometimes I don't have my baon, so I go there because there's free snack, you know, just for economic reason immediately. But because, and then when I was there, then I was listening to what they do, you know, and it got a spark on me. And then I thought, oh, why not, you know? And initially, you know, as young women, we just want to travel. So, YWCA offers, you know, traveling and things like this. And I mean, definitely, I would say YWCA launched my career and my success also to what I am now. So I think they really, so I was open to all opportunities. So I think that is one of the to all learning opportunities. Okay, so in the school, there's all these extracurricular activities. You can you go there, and then it open doors. You know, when you open one learning door, it opens to so many other doors. So then I think so my economic status back then did not really hamper my learning. growth, okay? My ability to learn. Because, you know, I mean, in the Philippines, of course, ang dami pa ring mahihirap, ha? We have to be realistic. You know, there's still, I think when I follow the news, there are still kids who have no computer or they have no smartphone or, you know, so they cannot even do virtual learning. So what do you do? You know, I mean, really, what you do? So again, this is where, you know, like NGOs or like YWCA and the government or the schools can really help, you know, how to provide some tools so that, you know, the less fortunate can also be, or less privileged can also take part in this learning process and also have, you know, and be empowered to one day do something because somebody has to help them, you know. I mean, they're not conditioned to think of something beyond what they're experiencing. Okay, so our conditioning is, again, it takes a lot. So I think for me, my faith helped me a lot because and it opened a lot of opportunities for me indeed. So I think one of the, so yeah, I mean, when I compare myself to what I'm when I was in a kid and what I've dreamed of, I mean, I think it's I could not believe really how God has blessed me and what now my life is. I mean, it's really a happy life, and it's not because of, you know, because of just my personal effort, but it's, I think it's mostly because I gave the control to God as well. And I'm not just you know, I am a scientific graduate, you know, so this is not something that contradicts with my faith, you know, my background on science and things like this. No, they exist, you know, they exist together. So my, maybe my last words would be that really you have to always just love learning. Okay, learning in personal life and also in your professional life when you're already able to work, and then always pray. I mean, really, if there's something maybe that you can start to read the Bible, because I mean the Bible, really, there's so many guidance there for personal living, and at the same time, I think I started also with the love of reading, like books. Exactly, books. I mean, there are many digital books now, but I still love to read books. And I remember, like, I always go to the library. Library is a free place where you can get books. So if you really love to learn, there would be always places where you can learn. And okay, I mean, of course, the books that you read, you cannot put this in your CV, okay? They don't certify you've read this how many hundred books, la la la. But still, they're still very valuable, and it will really. I mean, I think reading a book is something brings you to places where you cannot be, especially now in COVID. Okay, so when I'm reading a book, that's why I always stay late at night. When I read a book, I always want to finish it quick because it really brings me to a classroom, brings me to in front of a consultant. You know, I read a lot, so I'm very, very happy. So again, maybe my last word is really for, especially for young women. I see you now, you know, I mean, maybe at your age, I was not that confident. I was a very shy. I don't even talk. And now I talk too much. So, right, Mom Neri? So just to say that, you know, you can be what you want to be. You just have to really, really own your personal growth. This is your responsibility. You have to do something about it. There are many support all over the world. There are many support all around you. You just have to open your eyes and you have to ask. Don't be shy, please. I mean, I think if there's anything that we learned during this COVID, you don't be shy if you need something. You know, if you need something, you ask. There are many people who are very, very happy to help. So please take the responsibility for your personal growth and always pray. Thank you.